We began to work on the design of a microchip that, when it was completed, was 0.75 millimeters in diameter, 7 millimeters long. It was the size of 1/4 of a grain of rice. Again, I want to say that I was not a Christian and there were no Christians there. They said they wanted this to have a power source and be able to emit a signal. And they told us they wanted us to use lithium as a battery source. I designed into this microchip a little charging circuit that would charge that battery. This sounds like a lot of technical things coming together, but if you'll bear with me 1 minute, you'll see what God has laid out about this microchip. We needed to be able to charge that battery. I needed a temperature change, a change in temperature to cause current to flow through that little charging circuit that would charge the battery. It was determined that there were 2 places in the body that were ideal for the microchip. One was just below the hairline on the forehead. The other place was the hand, the right hand preferred, because most people are right-handed. And he caused us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. I didn't like what I saw. I went back and looked up the word mark.
Pandemic has provided an opportunity.
Here we are now with an economy in crisis, but with an incredible opportunity.
It's certainly a major crisis, but it also offers us a unique opportunity.
Unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset.
The great opportunity for reset.
Opportunity for us to reset.
For a reset.
It's almost as if they all attended the same school of thought and studied under the same professor.
Some people would say this revolution is characterized by the fight of robots against human beings. And we will win this fight.
Professor Klaus Schwab was born in 1938 in Ravensburg, Germany, where Nazi crimes against humanity were committed. His father, Eugene Wilhelm Schwab, was the managing director of Escher Weiss Ravensburg, a company that used slave labor to manufacture weapons of war for the Third Reich. While Klaus's father was at the helm, the Nazi Party awarded Escher Weiss Ravensburg the title of National Socialist Model Company. Years later, Klaus Schwab joined the board of directors at Escher Weiss Ravensburg, where he played a key role in the development of South Africa's nuclear weapons program during the darkest years of the racist apartheid regime. Today, Klaus Schwab is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
If you'd like to meet the people who are supposed to repair the state of the world or give a piece of your mind to the bankers who helped get us into this mess, we can tell you where to find a lot of them. The World Economic Forum.
Founded in 1971, the World Economic Forum is an international private organization which receives billions of tax-free dollars from its members and their global enterprises. Every year, the WEF brings together its members with world leaders, big pharma executives, tech titans, Hollywood celebrities, media personalities, and internet influencers to meet in the secluded mountains of Davos, Switzerland.
It is a tiny town folded into the Swiss Alps, a village where you could bump into Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, the head of Google, and the Queen of Jordan, all in one place. A lot of reporters cover the forum, but few get inside. It turns out there are two Davoses, one you see and one you don't. After hours, there are hundreds of private parties where deals are done. People who can't be seen together in public can meet here.
Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished heads of state and government, the future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room.
Klaus Schwab, the founder of the WEF, is particularly upfront and even proud of his ability to shape and influence world politics.
I created the community of global shapers as a means, as a force to shape our common future.
And of course, their Global Young Leaders program is a grooming ground so that when they ultimately infiltrate cabinets,
We penetrate the cabinets.
they will likely tend to govern a certain way.
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is vaccinated.
The names and the countries he mentioned ended up being some of the most dystopian and authoritative during this pandemic.
Names like Ms. Merkel, Vladimir Putin, and so on.
Other names, Jacinda Ardern, Sebastian Kurz, Mauricio Macri, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Ma, Gavin Newsom, Stéphane Bancel, Chelsea Clinton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Leana Wen, Alexander and Jonathan Soros, George Soros' sons, and several of the Rothschilds. And of course,
Now, who could represent such a world better than you, Prime Minister?
In 2014, Klaus Schwab called for the Great Reset,
We need a great reset.
which he positioned as the solution to the world's most urgent issues. The dark reality of Schwab's agenda is detailed in his best-selling book, COVID-19, The Great Reset. His endgame mission is to replace independent governance with a top-down controlled, one world government and a central bank-controlled digital currency.
When they say you'll be happy, what they mean is you'll be enslaved. That's why they're talking about a great reset. That's why they're talking about introducing this quasi-communist, quasi-socialist agenda. They know we've run the course where we cannot continue down the path of the ever-increasing indebtedness because we have a generation that quite literally cannot afford to buy a house.
Millions of Americans are priced out of buying a home.
And so it's easy to tell that generation, we're going to forgive your college debt,
Student debt relief.
and set your expectations lower. You're going to rent forever. We're going to celebrate the tiny house movement. We're going to do all of these things which sound cool because they're shaping our narrative so that we become capable of expecting less. What we need to do is not expect less. We need to remove inefficiencies so we can experience more. And that's the subtle distinction that the Great Reset is missing.
Like most globalists, Schwab regards communist China as a shining model of how he intends to transform the world.
We now welcome His Excellency Xi Jinping. China has made significant economic and social achievements under your leadership.
Chinese influence on global affairs is growing. The founder of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, says that this is what motivated the group this year to invite President Xi Jinping to deliver the keynote address in Davos.
Schwab said Xi's presence was a sign of the shift from a unipolar world dominated by the United States to a more multipolar system in which rising powers like China will have a step up and play a bigger role.
I think it's a role model for many countries, but we have to go one step further. It's a systemic transformation of the world. Artificial intelligence, the metaverse, synthetic biology, our life in 10 years from now will be completely different, and who masters those technologies will be the master of the world.
Similar to his protege, Justin Trudeau, Klaus Schwab makes a fascinating case study. Yet he too is merely the master of his own world. Economic Forum.
Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud. These are the new driving forces of evolution. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. And by this, I mean that if you have enough data and you have enough computing power, you can understand people better than they understand themselves. And then you can manipulate them in ways which were previously impossible. You know, the whole idea that humans have this soul or spirit and they have free will, that's over. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data.
Foreign powers can collect, store, and exploit biometric information from COVID tests.
U.S. intelligence officials tell CBS News that China is trying to collect Americans' DNA in hopes of controlling the future of healthcare.
China's test kits are a tool to help China compile genetic data.
The Chinese aren't the only ones exploring this technology. The U.S. is working on it as well.
The White House is wrapping up its COVID response, announcing Americans can once again get free COVID test kits as concerns are growing over career.
Data is the most important asset in the world. Those who control the data control the future, not just of humanity, but the future of life itself.
Everywhere she goes, Ouyang Haoyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system. A person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
And information collectors are paid to report on their neighbors.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens. Among them is this journalist who got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. He was blacklisted. He only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
By using the mechanism of social credit, we'll be able to establish a blacklist of people. These punishments will serve as a whip to rebuild moral values.
And few here are willing to criticize it, something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it. And anyway, we don't have a choice.
China wants obedient citizens. Criticism or resistance among the population is virtually non-existent.
This woman's door was kicked in by police when she refused to go to quarantine.
Now, these videos show rows of metal containers which are being used to house COVID-19 patients. Some of them have complained that very little food is left for them in the freezing metal boxes.
Chinese government officials now installing fences in Shanghai, blocking people from leaving their homes.
For some, Shanghai feels like the world's largest prison.
How does a handful of autocrats gain total control over a population of 1.4 billion?
I have 2 master degrees, one in clinical psychology, one in statistics. And at the beginning of the crisis, I started to study the statistics a little bit. The initial mathematical models and the initial statistics all had dramatically overrated the dangerousness of the virus. That was the moment when I started to think how it was possible that an entire society and an entire population was in the grip of a narrative which in many respects was blatantly wrong. After a few months, it became clear to me that the only mechanism that could explain what was happening in society was what is usually referred to as mass formation. Mass formation is identical to hypnosis. And this term refers to a specific kind of group formation. which has very special characteristic effects at the level of individual mental functioning. One of these effects is that an individual that is in the grip of mass formation typically lose every capacity to take a critical distance from what they believe in, from what the group believes in.
You would think it would be people with lower IQs that would be more susceptible to this, but it seems to be the other way around. Are you seeing this?
I have seen this, and it does seem to be predicted by educational status and IQ.
We look to be verified for our belief system, right? And so a doctor goes to the CDC. The CDC says this is true, it must be true.
Hi guys, I'm back for another video, and this is probably one of the most important videos I've ever made so far in the 3 years of making these videos on my channel. I come across information constantly, and I'm sure you guys do too, in regards to the Great Awakening and all of the things, the atrocities that the oligarchs have been up to for a very, very long time now. And they are running in desperation mode, even though Klaus Schwab and some of these people, these talking heads that are out here on the world stage, are acting calm, cool, and collected. Their actions are actually showing that they're in desperation mode. And so these compiled videos that I'm now presenting to you are some of the most important things that we can actually be looking at as a collective conscience and becoming aware of what's actually being done and what their intent truly is. And I do believe that they have some of these technologies already in play underneath the ground. They're showing us all of the things that are old technology, as always. They have cybernetics down pat. And all of the things that are bubbling up to the surface are just merely child's play to what they have and what they have capabilities of. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It is going to be very important to subscribe, like, and share this video as much as possible, because the entire world consciousness is at stake here. We're going to take a quick dive into a couple of different videos that will be the main subject of this video. So let's have a listen to what some other people have discovered. Now, I have also seen this crazy technology a couple of years ago. I was like, are you kidding me? This is sick what they're doing. But I suspect that the blue light is a trigger. Basically, it's like a trigger to activate and illuminate things within inside of us. But it's also considered the moon's light. The moon gives blue light that is of darkness because it comes out at night. But they also utilize and harness the energy of the moon, push and pull. When you want to do the darkest magic, you do it on the darkest night, which would be the new moon. So with no further ado, here we go. Let's listen to this.
But I'm going to connect the brain to the heart module to activate the blood circulation. Now, the lung is going to start breathing. You can see both organs are now collaborating. You can have the kidney module. And if I have the limb module, they start actuating the organism to move. Now it's looking for the optimal temperature, which is 37 degrees. If I had another limb, Oscar will recognize it and benefit from the possibility.
So that was just a little bit about that technology that they have. This technology is actually part of the homunculus project. So homunculus has been created throughout different ages in our timeline and other timelines before us. That is basically, they can create a life form from clay. And exactly as you see here, man tries to play God in many different ways. And so they figure out the secrets of the universe of creating life. And this is what a small example is But first, we're going to continue this train of thought. So this was another Instagram video that I came across when I was just breezing through Instagram for information. Let's listen to this.
An amazing new technique called optogenetics that was developed at Stanford University in Palo Alto in California. Implant a virus into a particular area of the brain.
Implant a virus into a particular area of the brain.
So what will happen is you get it injected into you, and then it assembles, it self-assembles, and then it swarms through your body, and it crosses your blood-brain barrier, and it takes over your brain.
Then if you direct blue light, blue light, they will activate.
So what we see basically is it's triggering the aggressive behavior of mice. And we know what emits blue light. Actually, the new energy efficient bulbs, as well as the halogen lights on cars and the blue lights on your screens, pretty much everywhere. They've been replacing all of the yellow light with blue light. What does it all mean? It means that they've actually been telling us, without telling us, that this horse is a Trojan horse. And this horse that sits at the Denver airport is one of the 4 horses of the apocalypse. And first, we must know what the word apocalypse actually means. So here's the etymology of apocalypse. It does not mean end of the world and of death and destruction as we know it. What it means is revelation, disclosure. And it's apocalypsis, or revelation from Greek, apokalyptein, uncover, disclose, reveal, off, away from, kalyptein, to cover, conceal, or save. The Christian end of the world story is part of the revelation in John, but that is actually a story. So it says its general sense in Middle English was insight, vision, or hallucination, which means you feel or sensate something as well. So you have this insight or this inner vision of what is to happen. And the general meaning is a cataclysmic event, and it's modern in this sense. So this was made in 1989. But the belief in an imminent end of the present world is from 1858. They wanted to instill fear again because their time is almost up. So this horse that they have coined Lucifer has been there for several years now, and it represents the demonic force, one of the forces of Ahriman, which is chaos that they are now creating throughout the entire world. Ahriman is also going to be a destructive force through artificial intelligence. The savior of all of us is the sun, because the sun elevates our consciousness through our genetic codes of light. This is why the sun is considered Jesus or Iusis. The sun is also Mithra. It is also just Ra, which the word Mithra also entails the word Ra. The sun is our savior, because without his light, we would not have this existence. So when they speak about Jesus in the Bible, they're speaking the truth, but they're mixing it together with darkness, because Lord is a ruler. The sun is not ruler of this world, but a giver of light and life. I encourage people to discover the other 3 horses of the apocalypse, because this one represents a Trojan horse, which would imply that it is Roman. And we all know what Rome has done to the world. They've roamed around the world and have taken over all countries, all nations. Yes, they rule the world right now. So some more interesting factoids that I came across and things to consider when you're thinking about UFOs and all of this crazy agenda that is now happening upon the earth. I say that all roads lead to the same answers and the same things, but they're trying again to manipulate the minds of the masses by creating a story for people to follow, which is what NASA does. And NASA is a deceiver. The deceiver wants you to believe that there are space aliens that are coming from other planets to help and to harm us. This is only a half-truth. They are not from other planets. They are from our reality and just outside of our reality. They are extra-terrans or extraterrestrials, which means that they are from Earth and they are from this cosmic design that we now exist within. But the universe is not what NASA has been trying to portray. The universe is inside you and also just outside of you. If you start to contemplate on the nature of reality and compare yourself to nature in the natural world. So there are beings just outside of our visual spectrum that we cannot see. There are ones below our visual spectrum and also above our visual spectrum. Now, to know about the ones who are below our visual spectrum will actually give us insight into what is actually happening and playing upon the earth right now. The ones just outside of our visual spectrum that are beneath us in frequency are very jealous of our abilities to ascend back into the light realm. So what they want to do is confuddle and confuse all of the people that dwell here on earth. And they have an agenda. And there's also humans who also are serving them, just like the ones that you see in vampire movies. The vampire is just symbolic of what these beings actually are and what they represent. They have to feed off of the blood of humans, or at least off of the louche energy of their negative emotions that they can emit. There are many different types of vampires. They are parasites. And this is exactly what's inside of us as well. When we have illnesses and things, we have parasites. And all we have to do is have some knowledge about how to cleanse those parasites to remove them from our bodies, and therefore removing them from our light body as well. Now, as in all things in this existence, there's duality, which means there's an answer for every problem that comes about. For example, for this Blu-ray technology that is now coming about, you can actually employ the use of a yellow filter, and it will cause a Blu-ray to become green. And green is actually Venus's color, which is love. This is the heart chakra. This is why plants are green. So when you employ the color green around you in your environment, you're actually creating beneficial rays for your body to dwell in. And this can be proven by a little experiment. If you've seen the plastic containers that are provided for in the stores that are green, there have been some storage containers that are for your food, for your refrigerator. You can put your plants in these containers and stick them in the refrigerator and watch how much longer they actually last without rotting. This is just a small example of what the green color can actually do for you and your food. So employing the knowledge of light frequencies into our world can balance off our frequencies. So that way we're not getting these harmful rays from the blue lights that we are now surrounded by the LED lights, by the halogen lights that are now blue in headlights of cars, and also the ones that are on your screen. So finding some green filter, cellophane, or even just coloring a transparency film that you can find at Office Depot, if you color that green with some acrylic paints and make a thin layer on top of it or something, you can actually make a filter that you can place on your screens. This can be done on your cell phone and on your computer and your TV. So if you can find a sheet of plastic that's big enough for your TV, then it may be of a great benefit to you, but it will change slightly that frequency that's coming through. Now you can either make it green, which the blue will deepen that green, or you can make a yellow filter so that the light that is emitted from the blue will then turn green and send green out in your direction. This is just a sample of the different things that we can do to actually combat all of the things that are being done to us right now. Even changing the tint in your car to more of a yellow tint can be of a benefit. But getting back to this information that I came across, I found this information because I've been learning about the moon phases and how they have actually been employing the dark magic of the moon. From the push and pull cycle of the moon, they can push and pull the energy and frequencies outwards. And knowing this is how they've created many different floods around the world. And if you go back into history and you discover what the moon phase was of many of these different floods and all of this darkness that's been happening, you will probably find that it's connected to a new moon cycle. So this was interesting that I came across this. As I was looking into Lucifer, I was looking into blue moon information because blue moon is significant as well. They're employing the magic of the blue moon, which is the second moon or second full moon that occurs within 1 month. And their months are actually completely off of the timelines. This is why it's important to know about the Vedic astrology and getting back on a proper timeline as opposed to remaining with the Gregorian calendar cycle. So here it says the end of January and beginning of February, this is in 2018, is already an important time in the calendar for Satanists. But tonight's once-in-a-lifetime conjunction of blue moon, blood moon, and lunar eclipse has sent some of the devil worshippers into a frenzy. All across Britain and the world, satanic covens are expected to convene workings where Lucifer will be summoned. Lucifer, know that Lucifer is Venus. And the Lucifer that they work with is actually Vesper. It's one of the things that you won't find much of is the term Vesper. And Vesper is the evening star. So this is the star that they work with because Venus can be seen twice in one day. That's in the morning and in the evening. And it brings upon the light of the dawn or the darkness of night. And it's very important to know that these things are very powerful energies because they actually are sending out their cosmic rays. And this is how they have been utilizing it and harnessing it to benefit them and their cause. Some online forums are even suggesting human and animal sacrifice will play a part. Yes, absolutely, because when you spill the blood, you are creating a very dark act against the light. This is what it means. During a recent full moon, this is the important part. Listen to this. During a recent full moon satanic ritual, one of the famous Dartmoor ponies was found in a circle of fire with its tongue, eyes, and genitals mutilated, and the belly was slit from end to end. The mutilations had been conducted while the pony was alive. Get this. What have we seen with the UFO phenomena, where the eyes, tongue, and genitals are removed from cows, horses, pigs, all kinds of different animals, mostly in the cows? It's because they have to sacrifice these animals, usually on a new moon. What we need to do is find out when these mutilations are occurring. Because what they're doing, this is our military that is doing this, along with these other beings that are not supposed to be in this realm. They have been summoned here. In order to maintain the status for these beings, they must have sacrifices. You must keep the dark acts going. So a little bit of discovery on this notion will actually illuminate more evidence of what's actually happening upon the earth. And I say it's a very dark agenda, but it is not what people think it is. These entities are not coming from outer space as Hollywood would make you believe. As Hollywood and NASA are projecting this false narrative about, space being out there somewhere, space is right here, and it's right now, and it's all among us, and it's underneath the earth as well. And there's space above in the clouds. These are where the other beings live that we cannot see. They are a much higher vibration than us. They are less dense than us. This is why the clouds can be lofty up in the atmosphere. is to keep our eyes towards the heavens. Looking at and admiring clouds is a grand action. You are pondering upon the heavens when you look upwards. But look at what the darkness has us do now. We look downwards. People pray with their heads down to the ground when they go to church. Who are they praying to? If God of the light is up in the sky, and I say it's through the sun, why are people taught to bow their heads to the Lord? If your God is in heaven, why are you sending your pineal gland and your focus down to the ground? This is very important. Everything that we do is a mudra. Everything that we do has meaning and purpose. And all the symbolisms also have purpose. What is the purpose? What are we co-creating actually? Because what I say is when we're out here and we're eating the flesh of animals and cooking our food and doing all these things, we're sacrificing everything, sacrificing life. We are participating in a very dark ritual. We are dimming our light for someone else's purpose because that's what we were taught. It's time to change the paradigm, change the thinking, change the way of life, restructure it around benevolent means. To see the light within you and recognize the light within your brothers and sisters. This is what we have to do in order to rise, to be as the light of the sun. Everything has a meaning, much deeper meaning on a spiritual level. So are we co-creating darkness? We must ask ourselves this question. What can we do to bring more light into our lives? What can we do to bring more awareness to help others see? This is what my purpose is. I wish I got paid for this because it would help me greatly. But as I am on this path, I give freely of my knowledge. I give freely of everything that I do because I see and feel the purpose, the need to awaken others who will at least listen and lend an ear to what I have to say. And I am not trying to be a savior. I'm not really trying to be a guru. I'm not a leader. I'm someone who wants to sound the alarm and help people. All I can do is try to trigger people awake. And so this is my attempt to hopefully illuminate the minds of others. In the PubMed, as I have stated in some of my other videos, they have actually put the luciferase into different animals as experiments. And the luciferase is going to be that blue light activated frequency that they have shown. And in that sick Frankenstein experiment with all those pieces of meat, they created those different cells in a lab. This is what they're talking about when they talk about lab-grown meat. They grow it in their laboratories, and then they have put all of these different circuits inside them. And they're basically creating cybernetic robots. They're only showing us what they've already created underground, and that those entities are probably the ones that we see on TV sometimes, and that they start glitching out. The cloning centers are real, and I believe we're going to see more evidence of that very soon. But this abstract here on PubMed, on NIH.gov, it goes into this notion of using the luciferase for different tumors and what the results are. This is the sick stuff that they're doing, and they're paying people very heavily to do this. This is why people join these different mad scientist experiments. Why do they want to be a part of this demise on the great human genome? Well, because they're getting paid a lot. They get paid heavily. And money is the root of all the evils in the world, just as we've always heard. So when you pay someone a lot of money to be deceptive, what does it mean? It means that they're only assisting in this darkness that is overwhelming humanity right now. And for us to become the light, we have to step out of this paradigm and to push away from this system. We have to create a new system, or either just step away from the monetary means of exchange completely. I would like to do that myself, but it is very difficult to try to move into a realm where you're going back to the barter system. The barter system is a lot easier for people to manage, and you can't be controlled as heavily. It's just that the darkness wants us to be in their system of venom and control. One of the aspects I encourage people to look into is Saturn. A lot of people have actually written some things about this, and this is one book that I've come across. The Black Sun, The Alchemy and Art of Darkness. And this person obviously comprehends what it means. So this is an audiobook, and the Jungian analyst Stanton Marlin re-examines the paradoxical image in the Black Sun and the meaning of darkness in the Western culture. In the image of the Black Sun, Marion finds the hint of a darkness that shines. He draws upon his clinical experiences and on a wide range of literature and art, including Goethe's Faust, Dante's Inferno, the Black Art of Rothko and Reinhardt, to explore the influence of light and shadow on the fundamental structures of modern thought, as well as the contemporary practice of analysis. He shows that the Black Sun accompanies not only the most negative of psychic experiences, but also the most sublime, resonating with the mystical experience of negative theology, the Kabbalah, the Buddhist notions of the void, and the black light of the Sufi mystics. An important contribution to the understanding of alchemical psychology, this audiobook draws on a postmodern sensibility to develop an original understanding of the Black Sun. It offers insight into modernity, the act of imagination, and the work of analysis and understanding depression, trauma, and transformation of the soul. Marlin's original reflections help us to explore the unknown darkness conventionally called the self. You must know darkness to comprehend your light. This is why we suffer. This is why we come here for this earthly experience. Once we have obtained the concept and notion of what darkness means, then we can comprehend how much light we can also imbibe. So this is why we choose to come to this experience. And we're all the same thing. We all come from the one thought, the one mind. And that one mind has split itself into 7 different aspects. And the 7 aspects are the different rays of color, which we choose when we come in here. In our zodiac chart, you can see the different character traits that you have chosen for yourself in your worldly experience. So when we're talking about all of this stuff, think about all the symbolism that's out there that represents Saturn. There are many things that represent Saturn. Saturn is the darkness from which we sprung forth. We are the light that springs forth from the darkness. And that's exactly what we're learning to do in a conscious state, in a very slowed down, dense conscious reality that is tangible for our soul to have this experience. So all of the symbolism is in our face on a daily basis of who our Lord truly is. Lord of darkness, Lord Saturn. He is also Kronos, Father Time, the Sandman, the ruler of dreams. The moon is the blue ray from which we emerge. It is the mood for our mind. This is why Mercury has a moon symbol on top as a crescent, to remind us that Mercury is of mind, and mind speaks through mood or the moon. You've all heard the notion blue moon, but then there's Bluetooth as well. And Bluetooth was a pirate. Know that Saturn Black Sun is L, Ek, Tri, C, T. C and T are the same sound frequency on the solfeggio scale. Why? Because it's the highest sound frequency in this existence. The Black Sun is also symbolized in many different things, movies, record labels. Anywhere you see a lightning bolt symbol is pretty much a reference to Saturn and his reign of power. Knowledge is the ultimate power in this world. Let's work together to help bring that knowledge back and give it to the people.